Okay, good morning to one and all. This is Dr. Mahesh M. Onjeri, Assistant Professor from Department of Management Studies, SDM College of Engineering and Technology, Dharwad. This online class is conducted for MBA semester for marketing students in the subject Salesforce Management. So this is part 3 of the online classes. Okay, and today we are going to continue to discuss chapter number 16, evaluating a salesperson's performance from unit 6. So before I begin the today's class, so just kindly let me take a quick recap of what we have discussed so far. So we are discussing and learning the procedure for evaluating a salespeople. So we have already discussed the first part, establish basic policies, some broader policies regarding who should evaluate the salespeople, then whether it should be a 360-degree feedback or management by objectives. Okay. Then in the second step, okay, select evaluation basis. So this is where we will continue from here. So two parts of this we have already discussed. Select evaluation basis. On what basis the salespeople should be evaluated. So far we have discussed and learned regarding basis of evaluating salespeople, output factors, okay, used as evaluation basis, which included sales volume as a percentage of quota and market potential, gross margin, orders, and accounts. Then second set of basis for evaluating salespeople are quantitative input factors. So these were output factors, what the sales rep is going to generate, and to generate that level of output, what inputs are required. So these sales reps can be evaluated even on the basis of these input factors, which are quantitative in nature, which can be quantified, like calls per day. Say, for example, 10 calls per day or 10 customers visited per day can be quantified. So these quantitative input factors included calls per day, days work, selling time versus non-selling time ratio, direct selling expenses, non-selling activities. Okay, then so input factors that are qualitative in nature, which cannot be quantified. For example, personal efforts, okay, cannot be quantified, like sales calls per day. Okay, so these are the qualitative input factors used as evaluation basis, which can be considered as evaluation basis of sales reps. Okay, so the first one among them was personal efforts, like management of the how a sales rep manages his or her time. Okay, to what extent a sales rep plans and prepares for sales calls. What is the quality of the sales reps, sales presentations? What is the ability of a sales rep to handle objections and to close the sales? So as I said, since they cannot be quantified, but the manager can use a Likert scale, 5-point Likert scale, let us say satisfaction to dissatisfaction scale or agreement to disagreement scale to measure the personal efforts of the sales reps. Okay, so then now the knowledge. So I think till here we discussed. So from knowledge, I will continue. Okay, so I repeat, till personal efforts of the sales reps, how it can be used as a basis of evaluation. So we have discussed and learned. So I will continue from this point, that is knowledge, which is a qualitative input factor, which can be used as a basis of evaluation. So knowledge of the sales representative about the products, so quite important and natural. So can be measured, okay, along a Likert scale. Knowledge of the sales rep about the company and about company policies. Knowledge of the competitors, products and strategies, and knowledge of customers. Definitely, in order to be effective, a sales rep is required to have this knowledge. So the knowledge about these aspects can be considered as a basis of evaluation in case of a sales representative. And next is customer relations. Okay. So this is a very important in case of business marketing or industrial marketing, where each account or customer, okay, places a very large order. Okay, and even in case of dealers. Okay, so customer relations are going to be very important, because unless the dealers support a company products, okay, it will be very difficult for the company to sell them directly into market. So the customer relations can even be considered as an input factor, which is the input factor which can be used as a evaluation basis. And personal appearance and health. Okay, so it is so because, so how a sales rep dresses and grooms and presents himself in front of the customers. It is so because for the customer, sales representative is the face of the company. I repeat, why personal appearance and health can be considered as a basis of evaluation of sales reps. It is because for the customers, sales representative is face of the company. Okay. So if the sales rep dressing and grooming is not professional, okay, customer may think that the company is also not professional. Okay. So that is the reason. So when a sales representative works in a field and meets the customer, he or she always need to remember that he or she is not representing himself or herself. Okay, the sales rep is representing the company. That's why personal appearance matters. Then personality and attitudinal factors in case of cooperativeness. So as a sales representative where a joint decision was supposed to be taken, or the sales manager is expecting cooperation from his subordinates, so it becomes very important. Okay, so to what extent the sales rep was cooperative in nature. Resourcefulness. So when asked for information or for some solutions, so whether the sales rep was able to provide the solutions and information, and was he or she resourceful. Acceptance of responsibility. When additional responsibilities were assigned, whether the sales rep was willingly accepted the additional responsibilities. And ability to analyze logically and make decisions. So this may be one of the most important personality and attitudinal factor which can be considered as a basis of evaluation in case of sales representatives. Okay, so those sales representatives who have the ability to analyze logically and make decisions, they'll be more effective and high performers in the company. So these are like personal efforts, knowledge, customer relations, personal appearance, personality, and attitudinal factors, which are qualitative in nature, and these are also input factors, can be used as a basis of evaluation in case of sales representatives. Okay, then a combination of these input and output factors. So I repeat, a combination of the previous in output and the input factors can be used to arrive at a ratio. Okay. Say for example, orders. Okay. Total number of orders taken divided by total number of customers visited, which is nothing but calls. Okay. So total number of orders taken by the sales rep divided by, okay, the total number of customers visited by the sales rep. So orders divided by calls will give you the batting average. Okay. Number of customers visited or calls divided by days worked. So shows the efficiency of the sales rep. Sales divided by orders. Okay. So what is the total sales volume achieved by the sales rep divided by the number of orders will again show, okay, what is the average order size. So this way, by combining the output and input factors, a company can, okay, identify the ratios which can be used in evaluation of a sales representative. Okay, and we are going to consider illustration at the end of the chapter where we learn how these ratios are used to evaluate the performance of sales representatives. Okay, so calls divided by number of days worked in a year is called as the call rate. Orders divided by calls, okay, is called as the batting average. And sales divided by orders is called as average order. So multiplied days worked, number of days worked multiplied by call rate multiplied by batting average multiplied by average order is equal to sales. Okay, so that is how sales rep can be evaluated using these ratio measures. So definitely you will get to take a look at these actual ratios when I give you the illustration of evaluation of a sales representative at the end of the chapter. And then we'll go back to the steps in the procedure. So far what we discussed were the evaluation basis, output factors, qualitative input factors, and quantitative input factors. How and what can be considered as a basis of evaluation in case of sales representatives. Now after the second step, okay, so we are going to consider one more aspect, that is a behaviorally anchored rating scale for evaluating team participation. So behaviorally anchored, okay, means which is qualitative in nature. Okay, so these are qualitative basis. Behavior is qualitative in nature, it cannot be quantified. So here is a small figure or example of a behaviorally anchored rating scale, what I said, 5-point rating scale for evaluating team participation. So how good a sales representative is in a team. So when a sales representative works as a part of a team, how good he or she is. So with the following example shows how a sales reps team participation can be evaluated. So these are the rating description, 5 points. Outstanding, weight 10 or rating 10. Above average, weight 8 or rating 8. Average, weight 5 or rating 5. Below average, weight 2 or rating 2. Poor, okay, carry the weightage of 0 or rated as 0. So these are the rating description of the sales representative for participating in a team. So what does outstanding means? This sales rep can be expected to go beyond what is normal and expected to help the team achieve its goals. Above average means the sales rep can be expected always to be cooperative and contribute to the team's objectives and tries hard to help make the team successful. Average sales rep, okay, is usually willing to cooperate and participate in team efforts, but you cannot expect him or her to go beyond what is normal, or you cannot expect from him or her to be always cooperating. Okay, usually, generally, the sales rep who is rated as average is willing to cooperate and participate in team efforts. Below average can be expected to participate in team efforts only to the extent required, shows no initiative with regard to team efforts. A sales rep who is rated poor in terms of team participation means the sales rep is unwilling to participate. At times may work against team goals. Okay, so in this way, a sales representative who is working in a team can be evaluated using a anchored rating scale. Okay. Now, with this, we'll move back, okay, to the stages. Okay, and at the end of this, I will break. And if you have any doubts, you can ask and clarify. Then I'll go ahead with the illustration. So far what we learned, okay, in the slides was previous slides was selecting evaluation basis. Okay, output factors, quantitative input factors, and qualitative input factors, and the factors which can be considered for a sales reps team participation. Then once the basis of evaluation are considered, the next step is to set performance standards. Say for example, sales volume. If it is one of the basis of evaluating a sales rep, the standard is the sales quota or sales target. Say for example, 10 lakh rupee per month. Okay, is the performance standard. Call rate, if it is the basis of evaluation, let us say in 10 doctors plus 5 pharmacies is the performance standard. So once the performance standards are set, compare the performance standards with the actual performances. Say for example, in my previous example, I said monthly sales quota or sales volume standard is a 10 lakh rupees per month, and you can identify the sales performance of each sales rep. Let's say for example, a sales rep has achieved a sales volume of 9 lakh rupees in that month against the standard of 10 lakh. It means his performance achievement is 90%. If another sales rep, let us assume that exactly achieved the sales volume of 10 lakh rupees for that month, it means he's comparing to the performance standard. Okay, so his performance is exactly 100%. So compare performance standards, okay, with the actuals. Say call rate, for example, 10 doctors per day plus 5 pharmacies per day. Okay, so for a given period of 1 month, okay, if let us roughly assume 30 days or 20 days in a month, okay, so that means 200 doctors and 100 pharmacies, 200 doctors and 100 pharmacies, the medical detailer would have visited. Say if a sales rep who has visited only 150 doctors in that month, means you can compare the performance standard is 200 doctors in that month, but whereas the sales rep has actually met only 150 doctors, means his performance is 75%. So this way, by way of comparing the actuals with the performance standard set, okay, so a manager can evaluate the performance of a sales representative. Okay, so this sounds simple, but it's not that simple. We'll learn about it more in the illustration. Then the fifth step, once the sales manager compares the actual performance with the standard performance and find out the deviation, the sales manager discusses the results with the sales people. Say for example, in my oral example where I said the standard call rates, okay, like 10 doctors per day and 5 pharmacies per day the sales rep is supposed to visit, and in a month of 20 working days approximately, okay, where the standard call rate was 200 doctors the sales rep would have visited and 100 pharmacies the sales rep would have visited. But in my oral example, I said the sales rep, okay, has visited, let us say, only 150 doctors, means his call rate is only 75%. And let us assume he has visited only 50 pharmacies. So with respect to pharmacies, his call rate is only 50%. So the sales manager, immediate reporting authority, in this case will be area sales manager, can discuss the results with the respective sales representative. So the sales manager may ask the sales representative why he was unable to meet the remaining 50 doctors in the month, why he was unable to meet the remaining 50 pharmacies in the month. He may check out for the number of days the sales rep has actually worked in that month. Okay, what is the average call rate? So every day how many doctors and pharmacies he used to visit. So he may investigate, okay, and he will discuss the results with the sales representatives and he will try to diagnose the problems, and accordingly he will suggest the sales rep to work, okay, more in a more well planned and well organized way, and he may suggest the sales rep to put more efforts where the results are not up to the satisfaction. Okay, so now whatever we learned in step 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, the same will be, okay, we are going to learn by way of an illustration. Okay, the illustration is about a hypothetical company. So Colorado Ski Company. So I'll explain what is the company and what are the product lines. But before that, okay, so if you have any questions, okay, I would like to take your questions, clarify your doubts, then I will move on to the illustration part. Okay, so I'm going to unmute you all. Please remember, if you do not have a question, okay, kindly mute your audio immediately. And only those students who have a question, clarify your doubts and remember to mute your audio again. Thank you very much. So I'm going to unmute you all. Okay, any questions from students? Any questions? Gaurisha, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Kamala, any questions? Kamala, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else who has a question? Okay, then. So it looks like you're able to understand the concepts, okay, clearly. And I'm going to mute you all again and let me go ahead with the illustration. Okay, so illustration of evaluation of a salesperson's performance. So the company in the example is the Colorado Ski Company. Okay, so this is skiing sports. Okay, so those who are not aware, you can make it out. Okay, so this is a skiing sport, and these are called as skis. Okay, so Colorado Ski Company, the product line, it has four product lines: skis. These are the skis, ski accessories. You can see the ski accessories here: helmet, okay, waistband, okay, pouch, and various other accessories. Okay, so ski accessories, ski pants. These are the ski pants, okay, and ski parkas. Parkas are nothing but the ski jackets. So what you can see in the image. So for purpose of performance evaluation of the sales representatives, the products are divided into two basic lines. One, equipment. They are nothing but skis and ski accessories. So skis and ski accessories. Skis and ski accessories are considered as equipment, one product line, and clothing. Ski pants and parkas are considered as second set of product line, which is called as clothing. So ski pants and ski parkas are considered as clothing. Okay. So I hope the concept is clear and the product is okay. You can understand what is the product. Okay. So Colorado Ski Company has four product lines: skis, ski accessories, ski pants, and parkas. And for the purpose of evaluation of the sales representatives, the company has divided the four product lines into two basic lines. One is equipment, which includes skis and ski accessories. And second basic line is clothing, which includes ski pants and parkas. There are two target markets of the company. One is sporting goods stores, means this is a general sports store. I repeat, this is a general sports store. Say for example, Decathlon in India, you might be aware. Okay, sporting goods stores, general sports stores. Okay, for example, Decathlon in India, and specialty ski shops. Specialty ski shops are specialty retail stores that are specialized only in selling ski ski accessories, ski pants, and parkas. They don't sell the goods of other sports. So there are two target markets. One is sporting goods stores and specialty ski shops. It means the sales representative sell the merchandise to the stores directly and not to the end users. I repeat, the sales representative sell the merchandise to the stores directly and not to the end users. And the stores or the target markets are divided into two. One target market one is general sporting goods stores, which sells a variety of sporting goods, and the second target market is specialty ski shops, which sell only skis, ski accessories, ski pants, and parkas. Okay. The company uses its own sales force, and the salespeople are paid travel expenses plus a straight commission of 5% on sales volume. Okay, so I repeat, the company uses its own sales force, and the sales people are paid travel expenses plus a straight commission of 5% on sales volume. The company has three sales reps, okay, and each sales rep is allocated to each sales territory. The company also has three sales territories. The first sales territory, Rocky Mountain region, okay, Joe Jackson is allocated in that sales territory. Pacific Northwest, the second sales rep, Gus Dean, is allocated to that territory. Third sales territory is New England, and Paula Burns is allocated to the third territory. Now, so whatever we discussed in the previous slides, output factor, quantitative input factors, okay, so most of them are considered here in evaluating the sales representative performance. So it is over 2 pages. The single sheet actually split into 2 PowerPoint slides because it will not fit in one. So what you can see here is the product lines, equipment means skis and ski accessories, clothing means ski pants and parkas for Joe Jackson. Okay, so this is the product line wise. So this is the target market, type of store wise. Okay, and this is the total. And here again, this is for this data is for Joe Jackson. The last three columns, are for Gus Dean, equipment, clothing, and total, as well as for sporting goods stores and ski shops and total, and the overall total. And the third is Paula Burns, same way for product line, equipment, and clothing, and total, and sporting goods stores and ski shops and total, and overall total. And this represents the overall total of all the three sales reps. Okay. So we are going to consider the performance of one sales rep due to lack of time. That is Joe Jackson. Okay, so if you consider Joe Jackson, the first sales rep who is located in Rocky Mountain region. So sales are in thousands of dollars. So equipment means skis and skis accessories he has sold, okay, worth $480,000, and the clothing he has sold $720,000 worth. Put together a total of $1.2 million worth merchandise he has sold in a given period of time. Then again, sporting goods store wise and a ski shop wise, this total is split. So this is the 220, okay, 320, sorry. So this equipment, merchandise, equipment, skis and skis accessories, which constitute equipment product line, he has sold worth $480,000. So out of $480,000 of equipments, he has sold equipments worth $320,000 to sporting goods stores, and he has sold $160,000 worth equipments to ski shops. And with respect to clothing, out of $720,000 worth clothing, he has sold $440,000 worth clothing to sporting goods stores and $280,000 worth clothing to ski shops. Okay, and this is the overall total, $1.2 million sales, the total sales done by Joe Jackson. Whereas he has sold in total $760,000 worth merchandise to sporting goods stores and $440,000 worth merchandise to ski shops. So what we can see here very clearly is he has sold more, he has sold more to sporting goods centers, sporting goods stores rather than ski shops. He has sold less to ski shops and he has sold more to sporting goods stores. Okay, and the total calls made by Joe Jackson are 700 calls. Among them, he has visited 300 sporting goods stores and he has visited 400 ski shops. Total orders taken by Joe Jackson are 500, among which he has taken 150 orders from sporting goods stores and 350 orders from ski shops. He has worked for a total number of days 220. So if you compare with Gus Dean, where Gus Dean has worked for 240 days more than Joe Jackson, and Paula Burns has worked for 230 days. So Joe Jackson has worked for least number of days compared to the other two sales reps. Total expenses incurred by Joe Jackson are $48,000 compared to Gus Dean. Okay, so it is very high, $40,000 of Gus Dean and $36,000 of Paula Burns total expenses. Similarly, if you see the total sales made by Joe Jackson are $1.2 million, whereas the total sales made by Gus Dean are $680,000 only, and the total sales made by Paula Burns are only $520,000. So Joe Jackson's performance is quite high compared to the other two sales reps. Okay. So similarly, if we consider the average order is $5,087 per order for sporting goods stores, and for ski shops it is $1,257, which is the average order. So the average order for ski shops is quite low for Joe Jackson. And the batting average, okay, that is calls divided by number of days. So batting average you can find out from here. Total orders taken divided by number of calls made is the batting average. The batting average of Joe Jackson is 0.5 with respect to sporting goods stores and 0.875 with respect to ski shops. Okay, so this way, equipment and clothing, total percent of market, okay, is 24 for equipment and 18% for clothing. Okay, so the overall market potential is 20%. Okay, so this way, if we consider these, okay, basis of evaluation and the results, basis of evaluation and the results for the performance of the sales representatives of Joe, Gus, and Paula. So how we can evaluate Joe's performance? Joe had worked fewest number of days compared to the other two sales reps, that is 220 days. Joe has made fewest sales calls, or he has met the least number of customers, 700, compared to the other two sales reps. And Joe has also taken fewest orders, that is 500, compared to the other two sales reps. And Joe has also spent highest money. He has incurred highest expenditure, that is $48,000 compared to the other two sales reps. Okay, but he has traveled far more miles, 60,000 miles compared to the other two sales reps. Okay. Then Joe's performance continues. A batting average is 0.714, which is quite adequate for the company. Average order size, okay, of Joe is $2,400, which is more than satisfactory and very high in comparison. Okay, so this average order of $2,400 is very high in comparison of Gus Dean, which is whose average order is $1,133, and the average order size of Paula is only $612. So that way, Joe's average order is more than satisfactory and very high in comparison. Okay, now why it is so? Though he has made fewest calls, okay, and traveled the longest miles, incurred highest expenditure, where his batting order is still very adequate, average order is higher than the other two sales reps. So the remaining part we are going to discuss in next class on a Tuesday, and on Tuesday we are going to complete this chapter. So in the meanwhile, again, I'm going to unmute you all. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. Any questions? Anybody else? Any other student? Manjunath, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So I hope okay, the concept is clear, and we'll complete this okay, illustration on a Tuesday class. Okay. So thank you all for your active participation, and I will upload the video, today's videos, okay, into YouTube channel, and the links will be shared only in Google Classroom now. Please remember. So please keep checking Google Classroom every day. Okay. Thank you very much. Happy weekend, all of you. Stay home and stay safe.